Hello everyone! The long-awaited 30th episode of Skibidi Toilet Multiverse was released, and I assure you it was something amazing. In this episode, what we've been waiting for finally happened, as well as what I predicted in my previous videos came true. And now I will make a full analysis of the new episode, find all the hidden details and Easter eggs that you might not have noticed, and build new theories about what we may see in the next episodes and where this series will move to. What new abilities does the improved Titan Clockman get? Why did Counter Titan survive, and who is he really? And what is the next threat that will stand in the way of the Alliance? Get your tea and snacks ready and prepare to watch this video to the end because it will be extremely interesting. Let's go! This episode begins with the fact that Counter Titan almost did away with Titan TV Man, but everything happened exactly as it was in the 67th episode of the original series by Boom. And I've already guessed a possibility of it, by the way. At first, Titan Cameraman saves his bro from an imminent fate, but before he pounced on the enemy, the lens on his camera lit up red, which signals that he switched to Berserk mode, as it was in the 14th and 19th episodes. They two start squeezing and punching each other, and then Titan Cameraman uses his jetpack to lift the purple scoundrel up, and while they are taking off, you can see how Counter Titan tears off one of Cameraman's jet engines and starts banging it, after which he activates the surfboard on his back and stands on it. I don't know how I didn't notice this thing before, but it was there the whole time. Also during the battle, you can see how Titan Cameraman uses his gravigun from the game called Half-Life 2 to interrupt the effect of the laser cannon on the tail of a Counter Titan, and thanks to which he almost drilled a hole in his own head. To be honest, I thought that the material from which the purple Titan was made of would be immune to the effects of the Titan Cameraman's weapons. But in fact, everything turned out to be different, which made the battle for the Alliance's Titan much simpler. And while I was talking about it, our guy kicked his opponent so hard that it would be strange if he could even move after that. And in the end, pulling himself towards him with the help of the same weapon and hiding behind the Counter Titan, he flies straight into the ground, forming a huge crater, but he did not calm down after that. It clearly seems that he was extremely angry about what the purple Titan was going to do to his little brother. However, surprisingly, the Alpha's Titan was still able to find the strength and pierce Titan Cameraman several times with his sword that he copied from Titan TV Man's original weapon. But thanks to the coordinated work of the Titans of the Alliance, he still lost his head. Unfortunately, it turned out to be not a vital organ for him, and he has no problems getting his head back, which apparently is only needed for him to see something. In any case, the Titans understand that they cannot defeat this monster, and at this moment the Alpha begins to gloat and asks them both to finally just die. However, I want to tell this lady that she desires way too much, and soon this fate will overtake her. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. When the two Titans were about to fight back, a huge sword materialized right in the chest of the Counter Titan. However, he wasn't there because he simply wanted it to be in this place, as you probably thought. In fact, something happened that we had been waiting for within several months already, and finally it came true. Titan Clockman has arrived, and oh my god, what a giga-chad he actually is. Just look at the Alpha's face, which is full of despair and surprise. It seems like she already understood how it's going to end now. Titan Clockman picks up this little cockroach on his sword, and then with a light movement brushes him off like a rag from a mop, after which he stands in a fighting stance. And immediately after that, the Alpha begins to panic, shouting for Counter Titan to turn on his rage mode, after which she begins to laugh angrily. Of course, I'm not hinting at anything, but it looks like this lady has some kind of bipolar personality, which is why she changes her emotions even faster than I do, huh? But let's not stop there. While her beloved cockroach continues fighting with the air, the metal Giga-Chad had already appeared behind her, after which, while tilting his head, he probably stops time and begins to tear the purple Titan into shreds, as a result of which he is chopped into small pieces to the sound of time stopping, suspiciously reminiscent of the sound from the anime JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. And while she was watching her pet's inglorious demise, she missed a very accurate pitch from the Titan Cameraman. And she falls right on the Titan's hand. And at that moment, all the characters who died earlier appear next to our Giga-Chad, foreshadowing the imminent demise of the Alpha. And this scene reminded me of a scene from the cartoon named 9. and I highly recommend watching it. And when the spirits have completely surrounded her, Titan Clockman squeezed his palm, putting an end to the terror from this lady. Interestingly enough, at this moment we do not see any spirits around her as it was a second earlier, and I have an assumption that only she saw them. Let's just say her whole life and all those to whom she brought troubles flashed before her eyes. TV Man shows his thumbs up for this Giga Chad with the usage of the last of his strength and zones out, and you should put this exact huge like under this video if you like what I'm doing on this channel. But you don't need to distract yourselves way too much because it's time to go to the analysis of Titan Clockman himself. So, the first thing that catches your eye is his colossal size. This frame shows that Titan Cameraman is about shoulder high of Clockman's size, which is roughly comparable to the size of Titan Drillman, according to this picture. There were also many changes and improvements on his body. The first thing we saw in this episode was his new and cool sword with yellow particles flying around it. And I think he can control it as well as Elite Clockman controls his Spear of Time. On the same hand, you can see something else. In the place where he used to have a time gun, now there is something new. Most likely, this new device performs the same function, stopping time only for the one who was hit by a projectile from this cannon. The core on his chest was clearly reinforced so that the situation of the 6th episode would not repeat itself when this Titan was disabled due to this vulnerability. You can see new blades all over his body, and I assume that he now has them instead of the round ones that he used to control in the air. There are many clocks hanging on his belt, and on his left hand you can see another peculiar device which is very similar to a shield like the Titan Cameraman's. But it is not yet known exactly what it is, but I still bet that it is a shield, as an ideal addition to his sword. So as we're done with Titan Clockman, let's see how he's bringing Titan TV Man back to life just like he did with Titan Cameraman in episode 6. And just look at the impression this made on Cameraman himself, who in disbelief points his finger at TV Man and then back at Clockman. He clearly does not remember that he underwent the same procedure, most likely because of his infection. However, the battle is not over yet, and the remnants of the counter-titan, namely his energy balls, rise up and replicate weapons, and one of them we have not yet seen. And by the yellow glow, it is clear that this is something from the arsenal of Titan Clockman. However, we are not allowed to see what this weapon is capable of, because the Giga Chad stops time and after making several swings with his sword, sends these cuts directly to the remnants of the purple Titan, finally destroying it. Or not. And immediately after that, the clock of the TV Man goes out of order, which tells us that the powers of this Titan are simply impeccable, and that even the technologies of the clockmen cannot withstand this power, and now the Alliance will have to come up with something new to simply be next to it. Although considering what we just saw, this guy will do all the work alone, and the rest will only have to watch how he will mock his opponents. But we'll talk about this a little bit later. Titan Clockman does not forget about Cameraman's brother and returns the broken weapon to him, after which they exchange pleasantries and leave this place. However, finally we are shown a frame with a clock tower and Titan Clockman who glances at it, and it was clearly shown for some particular reason. Before that, immediately after the clock on TV Man's hand went out of order, we were also shown this tower, and I think this is due to the fact that perhaps this source of power no longer works. Maybe because it has exhausted its power, and that is why TV Man's clock broke, or because Titan Clockman absorbed this source into himself. In favor of the fact that this clock stopped working, it shows in this scene that by nightfall the hour hands had not even moved. In the last couple of frames, we are shown how some kind of bug crawls out of the core of the counter-titan, and I was clearly not mistaken when I called this titan a cockroach. I wonder how this beetle survived if earlier Clockman pierced the core with his sword. Looks like there was enough space in that core for him to hide. But what has happened now suggests that counter-titan is definitely not over yet, and we will see him later. And I think it's time to talk about what we can see next in the series. The Alpha is now finished. But before her end, she said that the Alliance can't get away with it, and her master will avenge her, and most likely the next arc of the series will be about the confrontation between this mysterious master and the Alliance. And considering that it all started with Skibidi toilets, then came the Alpha, who had much more obvious power. The master must be even more powerful than their apprentice. And the forces of goodwill have to make a lot more effort and sacrifice to deal with this new threat. And I think these guys are not the last ones to die in the battles that we will see in the future. I also hope that soon I and other analysts will get more involved in the plot of this series, And finally, our motivations will be revealed with more detail. And that was all for today. Be sure to subscribe to my channel and write your own theories in the comments below about what might happen in the next episode. And that was me, Chad. See ya!